morning. Good morning to the audience. Good morning, all the panelists. As you can see by the title, today the panelists have an important challenge, that is to explain us how to deliver breakthroughs in innovation. And they will demonstrate how incubators are enablers of innovation and in the current environment, which, as you all know, is changing faster than ever. I will just take a minute to explain about myself. I'm currently the EIT full responsible for overseeing entrepreneurship programs in the south of Europe, and I've been doing this for the past 6 months. And I was previously a bit on the other side. I was the director of the angel network, or the investors network, of one of the largest business schools in Europe, that was ESA. And here I would like to welcome our very experienced panelists, and please introduce yourself to the audience before we get into the core issue. Please go ahead.
Okay, I might start. Hi, my name is Anna Tusz. I'm working for Poznań Science and Technology Park. I'm International Cooperation Officer, responsible also for supporting scale-ups and startups. That's been my job for the last 16 years.
I take the next step. Emilien, I'm from the Business Innovation Center Capinove, based in Nivelles, south of Brussels, in the French-speaking part of Belgium. I'm also responsible for the project ID2Move, which is dedicated to autonomous systems. It's a center of expertise and knowledge for these autonomous systems. And just to give you a rough idea, at Capinove, we are coaching a bit more than 50 innovative projects per year, and more or less 10 innovative companies that would like to grow one way or another.
Hello, good morning. I'm Ludovic Santons. I'm working for Orange, based in Paris, and I'm working for the acceleration program of Orange, named Orange Fab. We are accelerating startups to make them connect with corporate business units. And we have a network of 19 accelerators in the world, and trying to make international connection between Orange business unit and startups. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Samuel Bachelot from Atlampol. I'm a big manager and a business advisor in Atlampol. So Atlampol is based in France, Nantes, for the northwest of France.
Thank you. So we are going a little bit first to the framework of innovation before jumping into core issues for incubators. So I would like to ask every one of you if you could tell us as of today, how do you think that is this triple or quadruple helix performing in Europe? Are the connections working and delivering, and what should be the role of incubators to boost the helix system? I don't know if you can start. Maybe Samuel, you can start.
Yes. So at Atlampol, we are a public incubator. That means that we have as stakeholders our local authority, of course, that are supporting what we are doing, and we are discussing very closely with them for their policy regarding incubation and innovation. In the governance of Atlampol, we have also involved the research labs and academic partners. So they are also very, very deep involved in what we are doing, and for how we can promote the transfer from the research to the startups. And of course, we also have the companies we are supporting and the alumni that are very much involved in our governance. On top of that, we have also strong partnerships with different partners. So with, for example, the French Ministry of Research and Innovation, and for which we run the incubation program that they are supporting with us. And also with the French public bank, which is called the BPI France. We are running a new program regarding deep tech startups, so to promote and foster innovation and the creation of deep tech startups.
Thank you. Thank you. Anna, maybe you can give us.
Yes, sure. Well, your question was rather general, and Samuel went straight into the point, describing his experience. So maybe I will try to do both, in the sense that the experience of Poznań Science and Technology Park that is run by University Foundation is very particular in the sense that by the structure we are settled in, we are a part of the academia environment. So that's pretty natural for us that this is the leading topic we want to develop. But of course, it doesn't mean that there are no challenges there. And from the of the record conversations we had yesterday here in the EBN's office, it's pretty obvious that what we are facing is very similar to what other organizations are facing. So there are challenges still, and that haven't changed much in past years in the communication between science and business. We are trying to build a bridge, of course, but there is still a lot to do. What we are focusing more and more on is this fourth element of quadruple helix. So the society, how society can benefit from our activities, and here we are also trying to find our niche. And it's a funny thing, similar to what Samuel said about deep tech startups. So we are, our scope is to support maybe less, meaning it's less about quantity, it's more about the quality and the impact companies we are supporting can bring to society.
Thank you, Anna. Indeed, you open to many other questions, and maybe Ludovic, you can give us your vision as you're in a different setting within Orange.
Yeah, I'm in a very different setting because I'm working for a corporate, so I don't have much of a view of everything and every initiative that you have in the different ecosystem in Europe. I see that there is a lot. I unfortunately don't have much time to interact with all of them, and it's one of the challenges that we have. We are a small team, and we are very focused on accelerating startup, not incubating, which is a bit different. We are taking startups that are already on the market, mature with product, and we are trying to do business acceleration by giving them more business with our corporate. They have the innovative solution. We have a big database of customers, and we try to match this database of customers with these startups. Just to give you anyway, a bit of background on this question as well. Before I did work a lot in Africa because we have a big presence there. And 10 years ago, we start a big program named Orange for Development, where we try to develop and foster the innovation ecosystem in Africa. We start from nothing. I mean, at the time, it was 12 years ago, when you went in country, you didn't even have one incubator. You didn't have any program, any financing capacities. I mean, it was really, we start from scratch. And as we have a big presence there, we did a lot to start building the first incubators, the first funds to fund startups, the seed funds that were a missing needle in this market, and so on. And what I can say about it, which is important, is when you have nothing, it's very, very difficult to take off an innovation ecosystem. And when you turn and you check at Europe, you see that there is really a lot and a lot and a lot. I mean, of possibility and of equipment of initiatives, which is great. Not all of them, I think, are optimal in terms of working, but I mean, as the time goes, I mean, things are improving, and I think we are in Europe in a very active moment.
Thank you, Emilia. You also are positive as Ludovic in the States. In how in Europe the connection between science and innovation is performing?
I have to talk about COVID situation, of course, because I think it changed a bit the game. In our region, we were used to have initiatives coming from the government and say, okay, please import that and please implement this kind of coaching. And with the COVID situation and hopefully they completely changed their mind. Say, okay, you are on the field, you have the contact with the clients, with the companies. So please come back with ideas, come back with coaching projects and this kind of stuff that we can implement and fund. And next to that, we can also give some extra money to the companies to just step over that hurdle. So that's a positive impact I can see in that bad situation, is that they brought back the ends to the field instead of the ivory tower.
Mm-hmm. So we are perhaps catching up with other environments, but this is better. Maybe we can talk a little bit, because you introduced all these elements. What are the current challenges in the incubation world? In pre-incubation, during the process of incubation, and maybe post-incubation, which are the critical issues? You mentioned that maybe dealing with a certain type of startups, maybe having more incubators, and also you mentioned right now the need to adapt the offer of services to the online practices and to new needs. So what do you think that are the current challenges so far?
I keep the lead. I think entrepreneurship is trendy now because people are looking for new challenges. They're also looking for a better balance between job and family life. So I really think that entrepreneurship is trendy. But next to that, it's not because it's trendy that it's good, because you could have a good idea, but you need a business also. And so the first challenge we can see is that we have more and more people applying to get coached, but the project is not good as it is, or the idea is not that developed or enough. So this is the first part of the job. So we have to coach them more, to let them realize what is good in the project, what is not, to help and to train them to go further and to see if there is a real business behind this good or bad idea. So this is for us the very first step for coaching an innovative project.
Mm-hmm. So that's a challenge of you have there is more quantity of entrepreneurs, so more entrepreneurial spirit and more innovation, more ideas, but they are less prepared. So we still need a bigger pipeline, but less prepared.
Exactly.
Ludovic, maybe for you, that's the challenge is lies in the same spot.
Well, the challenge we have are numerous. I mean, but one of the first challenge every time we launch a specific program, I will say on I don't know, technology around 5G or technology about artificial intelligence or so on. Our first challenge is really to get access to a good sourcing of startups, and it's a bit difficult, even if you are a big corporate and you are well known, to make everyone know that you are seeking startups for this type of activity and topics. And that's really one of the challenge we have. The recruitment is something always a bit picky. If we just say we are looking for search solution and search startup, it's not enough. I mean, we really have to work with partners and go to seek ourselves solutions and find them and ask them to apply and connect to these challenges, and then we make good program, but we have to be really active in that. And there is so many. So many initiatives, so many activities that being viewed and heard on the market in the ecosystem is really difficult. Then, what I can say then when we have startups and great solution, our main challenge is really internally is to have like a good network, especially in big corporate, a good network of people that are open to really work with innovation and innovative solution to grow new business field in the corporate. And it's not the majority of people, so you need to have this network, and you need to really do the job of matching to make sure that at the end of your acceleration program, you will have results, meaning you don't accelerate startup for the sake of it and just to help the startup. I'm accelerating the startup to give them business, to give them turnover, to give them money, to give them expansion, to give them international expansion. And I'm not doing that because I'm good. I'm doing that because I have an interest of doing that, because as a corporate, I have an interest to take the best of the best breed of the innovation that you have on the market and to be capable to distribute that to my customer. And or to use it for myself sometimes. It's not always for distribution. So that's a big challenge, because it's two different cultural world: the world of startup, the world of corporates, and there is a need for us to be here to really try to really match and to make everyone understand each other.
Thank you, Ludovic. You also responded to some of the some questions that the audience is advancing that I will take it later on with you. But just to be precise, you work with you're a corporate accelerator that works with the startups already constituted more or less with a product in the market. You're not working earlier as much as maybe the other colleagues in the roundtable that are working more on transfer and with science-based startups at a very early stage. So maybe we can go back to Anna and Samuel to give their view on the challenges they are facing with.
Thank you. Maybe I will take a lead now, because the target group I'm working with is very similar to the one Ludovic has mentioned. And our experience or challenges are related. I would divide them into two groups. So one are the first group, challenges that we are facing when we are working with startups. And I would just point out two. First is that, but maybe that's also important thing to mention, that we work with international startups. So not only from Poland, but from Denmark, from Lithuania, from Estonia, from Spain. And the biggest challenge is to realize that scale-ups in different countries, they have not only different needs, but access to different set of support initiatives. So I would say that Danish startups, scale-ups, they are not that much interested in or they can pick and choose from a variety of programs, and therefore it's challenging for us to build an offer that address their needs to the point. And on the other hand, in the case of countries like Poland, scale-ups are so focused on developing in the local market that they are not, that they don't think broader. So the challenge is to change their mindset first. And when it comes to us and our approach and the challenges we are facing, I have three here. So first of all, we need to adapt fast to the pace of development of the scale-ups, and it's not always easy. It's not always a natural thing for us to be lean, to react fast, to be flexible with our offer and with not only topics we are covering or delivering to startups, but also the way we are doing it. And well, yes, COVID taught us a lot, and it accelerates the whole process. Second thing is finding a niche, because as I mentioned, there are plenty of initiatives. Really a lot, and it's a matter of deciding who to address the offer, who to focus on, not to try to look for customers everywhere. It's like with each and every business. If your customers if the answer to the question who is your customer is everybody, well, then something is definitely wrong. And the third thing is what Ludovic also mentioned. It's if we want to support our scale-ups or startups efficiently, then we have to work on expanding our networks, because that's the only way to really give something unique, to deliver a unique value to our scale-ups. And as we are at the EBM Congress and we're having an international crowd here, I would put a stop here.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if Samuel, if you want to add anything.
Yes, well, I'm quite in line with my colleagues. What I would just like to point out is, yes, the deal flow of project is good. There are many potential projects coming into our incubator. Thing is how we can select the ones that will have the most impact and with the most promising. We cannot support all of them, of course. And I would say that the big challenge is also there are more and more initiatives and programs in terms of incubation, and so it means that we always need to be good at what we are doing. That means to have the right offer to bring to the entrepreneurs, and to bring them the right connections that can accelerate their development. In this respect, of course, the companies need to get access to the market, to the funding. So that is something we need to focus on. But also more and more, I think that the human factor is something very key in the startups, not only at the beginning, at all stages of their development, and how we can address properly these questions. That means to recruit the skills and to manage, and also the relationship between the founders, things like that. That's what I call the human factor, which I think is key. And not only during incubation, but also beyond, because I think that it's important that we would not stop just during the beginning or the pre-launch phase, but further on, after a couple of years. That's probably when the companies, the startups, also need great help for their development, to continue their development, and that's where we also need to be at their side.
Thank you, Samuel. So you said, I think that to recap is that this human factor plus networking plus access to finance are the key elements for the success of an incubator. Just going back to because the bit was very clear on how they measure the impact and the results and the KPIs. Maybe you can, and there was a couple of questions from the audience on how do you measure the success of your activities? What are your KPIs and the impact you are aim to achieve?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's a very difficult question. We have a very simple KPI for us, which is the number of commercial contract we sign between startups and business units of Orange. But it doesn't say much. It's just a number of relating to the activity. It doesn't give you the size of the activity. We have certain acceleration and certain startup where we can easily do a KPI based on financial figures. For instance, I accelerate in Africa a startup named Brastorn. And this startup is a B2C startup distributing a service, connecting service on very simple phones. For a broad range of the population over there. So it's a startup that started in Botswana. And we are distributing this service as a telco, and we are doing revenue sharing between us and the startup, let's say 50-50. So people pay for the service, they pay per month, for instance, or per weeks. And then we get the money, we share the money between the startup and us. We bring the network and the customers, they bring the service. So that's really how it works. Then we can say, okay, this startup brings us this amount of turnover with this amount of profitability. And we have a very clear KPI on how much it really weight in terms of money. For example, for this one, we have a business plan. If we can push this service in 7 countries in Africa, we can make something like 150 million euros in turnover for the service in revenue sharing mode between the startup and us. So it's not negligible. It's really a big, huge business impact. And we are really helping this startup to go international, to jump country to country. And then we address, because this service is really for the people who don't have any service. And it's a very useful service. Otherwise, they will not pay for it. And they pay a very little amount of money. It's like less than $1 for a month of service. But it's a very useful one. So there is big impact for people. There is big impact for the startup in terms of revenue and more development of more service, and big impact for us. So it's a sustainable application. And here we have clear KPIs. But if I sign a contract for a service that Orange will use to do, I don't know, a news survey, and it's a contract that we sign with the startup for a worldwide use within Orange employees, and it's a 2.5 million contract. So we can say, okay, we signed a 2 million contract with the startup. So it's good for the startup, but for us, it's not revenue. It's just expenses. So it's really difficult to, in every startup, you know, there is a different way of counting, and it's very difficult to consolidate with a big number how much value we did create. In the last case, we create value, but it's not financial value. It's value in terms of process, is to share information in the company and so on, but it's extremely difficult to put numbers. Some people try to put numbers, but it's always wrong. Very difficult to calculate, and as long as you tell the number, everybody will challenge it, saying, yeah, you took, I mean, how you did calculate that? You say that, but it's overestimate, it's underestimate. So it's this KPI story. It's an ongoing story. Everybody is asking us for KPI, but well, sometimes, okay, I can really produce KPI on value created, but sometimes it's difficult, and we never tackled really to get the right solution on that. And I don't think we will anyway.
Thank you, Ludovic. I think it's quite advanced already. I mean, it's quite clear, although you might have to define your KPIs from time to time with different stakeholders. But I would like to hear also the opinion of some of you that are working with more closer to science and to research, to see how do you measure your impact.
I would say I'm relieved with what Ludovic said, because my first reaction to this question was, oh my God, that's one of the most difficult questions we are trying to answer on our daily on daily basis. And to be completely frank, I don't have like a clear answer, because of course we also have a set of KPIs. We are tracking numbers, and we can tell that out of 200 scale-ups we supported in the past year and a half, we linked half of them with investors, 100 of them also with corporates, and so on and so forth. But those are exactly what Ludovic said. Those are numbers, and what are important are stories that are behind it. So it's more, much more. It gives much more to the story when you're following the achievements of particular startups. So that you know that the opportunity you gave them of meeting a corporation resulted in a series of meetings and the memorandum of understanding or letter of intent or whatever. So that's basically how we are trying to do it. We are trying to hunt the success stories, also the stories that didn't go that well, because that's something we're learning from. We're learning from what went wrong, both on the startup side and on our side. And that's how we're learning to support startups better.
I think we are missing some qualitative KPIs. That's the main problem, because all the organization that give money to us, whatever if it's private or public, they want some results, so they need numbers. And the qualitative part is also very important. Just to give an example, for me, if somebody or a team is leaving the project, they just stop. Whatever the reason, it could be also a positive way, because we push them to realize that the business was not good, or the idea was not good, or the market was not ready, whatever the option, but they just realized that it was not the perfect fit. And before selling houses, cars, losing friends and family or whatever, they are aware of that. So for me, it's a success. But you can never write down this kind of information in a report to your funders. So that's, I think, the problem we all struggle with.
Well, just to add something, we love to, I mean, the best KPI that we have is we love to ask the startup and the business unit we are working with on the project if, you know, what they feel about it, if it's a good, I mean, how they perceive the way we did help them or not, and then it's not numbers, it's small talk, but it's very interesting to see and read these results. It's very interesting because you see that usually most of the time you have very good comments and very sometimes they give you not only great comments, they do comments, but it really helps you to improve and to understand their perception of what you did, and it's really the best we can have in terms of KPI.
Yeah, just to add a couple of points. I agree, and there are different levels of KPI. It's not so easy question. Of course, there are the KPI of regarding the performance of the startups themselves in terms of a survival rate, fundraising, turnover, people employed, etc. So of course this is very important because it means that has been successful. There are also the quality criteria regarding the service offer and how they were happy with the services, the connection they got through the incubator. That is also very important for us on how we have been able to help them in this development. But also there are the indicators regarding our stakeholders and their objectives. For example, how we can support transfer from the research to the creation of startups. And that will have a great influence on the results also of the companies, because if you take startups that are not so risky in your incubator, you will have good results in terms of turnover, fundraise, etc. But is it really what we are supposed to do? On the other hand, if you do maybe a bit less, but on a company that wouldn't have been able to exist if you have not been here, if you have not been acting as an enabler from the research to the market, probably the result might not be always as good because it takes a long time, for example, to get the performance because the deep tech startups are much longer to access to the market. But I think this is the role of an incubator, to be here and to enable that and not stick to the most obvious and easier startup to go to the market. So yes, indicators have to be taken very carefully, and all these indicators all together have to be placed on the table.
I'm sure someone will touch upon something very interesting: getting results fast or getting results on the long term. That has a lot of implication on the services that you can offer, and also the business model that maybe we can talk later. But Ludovic, you wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Please?
I can add something because it was very interesting what has been said. Here in our company, we have like 5,000 people dedicated to research and development and innovation. We are a team of, let's say, 5 to 6 people. The only reason we are here and doing open innovation in opposition of classical innovation is to do things in a totally different way that a traditional corporate is doing as traditional innovation. So we have to be unrespectful of all the classical rule of what is the business and innovation in the business. So it's really what we are paid for. And when you go out of the box like that, you only take risk. I mean, you are here to do different, to do new, to really go in some places where, I mean, you never been, nobody been. There is no, there is no manual to follow, and there is no rules to follow. And when people try to put rules on your back, you have to be strong enough to just escape the rules all the time. And it's really a different culture. It's a different culture of open innovation, and it's really what's going on in these places. It has to be like that. If it's really a classical places where you want to have just good KPIs, you're dead. I mean, you will not last long.
Yeah. Thank you, Ludovic. You're taking me. We have a few issues still to talk, but you're taking me directly to something. How do you fund such a business model that it needs to look for more risk and be less risk averse and try to find to achieve results in a longer term? So, what would be the business model of the incubator of the future?
Well, we work with a venture capital, corporate venture capital fund that is really going into financing the startup for some of them when they feel that there is a need for that. We also have a specific budget that we dedicated to help the project we are starting between startup and business unit. Sometimes, I mean, you go to see a business unit in the middle of the year and you say, there is something very innovative that you have to try. And they say, okay, it's not in the budget that I planned last year, and I don't have any more money or whatever. I'd love to do that, but I can't. So we always said, okay, I'm sure you have a bit of budget to do it. Maybe you don't have all the budget, but we can help you compensate what you don't have. And we don't want to make startup to work for nothing. It's out of questions. But okay, I do my part, you do yours, and then let's start this test, this pilot. And if successful, next year budget. Take this project into a live and a mature project. So that's a very important way to be successful. Having this, I mean, it's 10,000, 15,000 euro per project, 20,000. We have an exception in our last budget where we have 200,000 euro for one project, because otherwise this project will not happen, but it's a very important and key project for the company worldwide. So we said, okay, let's put all our money on this one because it's very important to go on. But usually it's small budget, and it can really help to do this match between startup, this innovation, and corporate people who are facing the reality of market. I mean, starting a new business, it's starting from zero with expenses. So you take a risk, and yes, people. There is a lot of administration in this big corporate, and administrative people don't like risk. So it's really this challenge that we are tackling all the time, and it's why we are here. It's the only reason there is accelerator in the corporate like Orange.
So thank you. Maybe anyone, Emilie, could you tell us how will you fine tune the different pieces of the business model for your accelerator? You have external, maybe external corporates or external sources of funding, or combination with public. Just maybe some idea would be welcome.
And to make the link with the previous question, we try to focus on three what we call the silos. So we are focusing on some topics, and it's easier to have the networking and all the ecosystem if you're dedicated to one topic. So that's what we decided to do with food and agri-food, and we will discuss it in the next round table, with autonomous systems, and also with the green, which is more trendy also, but all the green stuff for companies. So this is the first point. Next to that, it's easier to have the funders and to have the major players in that field on board. And then our role is to be like the central point and to connect all those people together. Research centers, universities, startups, scale-ups, big players, whatever, local, international, but to have to bring around the table all those people that can share something and that can help each other to grow. So that's the main important for us. And I also would like to answer a question you didn't ask. It's about that money. If the project is good, if the team is good, you always find money. So it's not a problem about finding the money. If the project is good, you will always find some euros somewhere.
And to follow that, I might add that I feel like we are always a part of the picture, in the sense that it's very rare that our accelerator is the only one that is supporting the development of scale-ups. Scale-ups are smart. They know where to look for money. And I fully agree that if the project is good, that there's no problem in finding financing scheme or business angel or grant or whatever. But there are like usually there's more than one organization program that scale-ups are I wouldn't say taking advantage of, but are using to support their development. So I think that might be a kind of future of the business model to unite maybe more to cooperate closer with other programs that are supporting scale-ups, because I believe that in many cases it's the challenge is that we have limited resources. Business support institutions or business innovation centers, and we can support a very little piece of or a fragment of or address or support piece of what they need. So joining forces might be an alternative, maybe an interesting way to develop our business models also.
Collaboration is key, definitely. And that's why a network like EBN is also important, because if we know that some colleagues in other part of the world are very active on that topic, as soon as we need some expertise on that field, we can call them and just share some experience. So that's very, very important to have this strong collaboration and strong network.
Yes, just to add a few things about that. So what is the best on the business model of the future for an incubator? I can't answer this question. It is a very difficult, tricky one. We are a public structure, so we could have thought, well, it's restful. We will have the money coming from the government, stakeholders, and so on. But in fact, that's not the case. We also really need to perform, and they ask us to increase the private part in our business model as well. So what we tend to do is to try to develop new initiatives as pilot tests, pilot programs. We see if it works, and very often through these new programs we can find private partners who can also bring their contribution, financial contribution to the programs, and that would increase our private part in the funding, and also bring new possibilities for the startups within these programs. For example, we have a program that we call the factories that we have been now developing for 9 years. At the beginning, it was just an idea where we think there is something to do with a pre-seed 6 months acceleration program. We tried this with different partners, and well, it met a real success. And now this is something that we are regularly running, and with more and more private partners coming to this initiative, bringing money. So this is a good example. We also have now a new programs that have been started with regarding the deep tech in partnership with BPI France. So we answer the call in partnership with different partners, and we are running a new program dedicated for that. And we also already know that it is a short time program because it will last only 2 years. But we have already discussed with stakeholders and partners to say, okay, we are starting, we are testing that, but if you're interested in that, we can carry on this program in the future with your support if you think if it is of interest and if it is successful. So running new programs, new initiative, piloting, it's a good way of developing your network with private partners and also finding new resources. That's the way we are developing our business model.
Good. Maybe in that sense, you can share the following Samuel, you can share something that is innovative on your side that you have put in the market in the past year, and also maybe because there will be probably many accelerators or many incubators that are not that advanced as you are, maybe something that hasn't worked, and you can say, don't go that road, it doesn't work. So maybe you can share this good and bad practice with the audience.
Yes, fine. I need to look at the camera because a good initiative. Yes, well, I was talking about the human factor as something key. We did something quite new for us. We recruited a new type of competency in our team, in our incubator, someone completely dedicated to recruitment. So that was someone with experience in the field of recruitment. And we use her competencies for the startups to find the talents they need for the future, but also reflect on their organization and future needs to come. She arrived in the team in June, beginning of June, and I can tell you already it is a great success. There is a huge demand from the side of the startups regarding this point, and she brings a lot, something that we were not good probably enough at, and she brings a lot to the startups and to the team. So that is I think a good initiative that we're running. Things that are not working, well, they are probably, we tend to forget them. Probably it's not good. Well, maybe something regarding soft landings. That is something that has not been so successful. We did some attempts in the past, but it's very difficult retain the people from abroad. We had some initiatives with the US for French people in the US willing to set up a business back in France. So trying to attract them. It hasn't been so successful. I don't know exactly why, but they tend to take what is to be taken and not stay in the territory after. So that's probably, if there are good experiences in this regard of soft landing, that's something maybe we can improve and take the opportunity of other examples to develop that better.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe Anna, you can, because maybe you have some practices on internationalization for the startups. I don't know if you want to share any innovative action.
Of course, and I took a note of what Samuel said about the HR person, because it's a very valid point when you're supporting scale-ups. Well, in our case, indeed, we focused in past 2 years on internationalization, and we've learned a lot. So we have some successes. And well, in general, I'm talking about Scale Up Champions initiative. We decided to cover 3 gaps we've noticed in the offer for scale-ups when it comes to going abroad. One was we wanted to teach them or to get them ready to work with corporates. Everything what Ludovic said, it's true. There are 2 different words, and our job, the idea we had was to teach for sure scale-ups, but if needed also some corporates to moderate expectations better. Maybe that's the best description. And what we've learned is that both parties are interested, and everything goes well. Everything goes well until up to the point where we match corporates with startups, and then is when the really bumpy road starts. So we've learned to be patient. We've learned to not expect too much and to focus more on quality than on quantity. And the second thing that we focused on was investment readiness program, because we are well aware of the fact that there's money on the market. So the question was how to help scale-ups to gain funding, and we has an ambition goal to increase the number of international, like cross-border investments. And what we've learned is that there are many formal obstacles sometimes if you want to invest when the investor and the startup are from different countries. So that's something we're learning how to overcome. And the third thing was soft landing, and it's like a holy grail, I would say, that everybody wants to find a way to do it efficiently and to be successful in soft landing, and somehow it's not working as we would like to. Not to mention, of course, the Corona situation, that because when you have to run a soft landing program online, it feels really bizarre. But in general, the lesson we've learned on one hand is that it's a great potential in working internationally. And what I mean is, when you mentioned that the networks are the key to expand, I fully support that statement. But we have to remember that even in Europe, we are very different, and there are cultural clashes, believe me. And you have to be open-minded, and you have to keep it at the back of your head, because otherwise the only thing you will get from those attempts to work internationally will be you being really frustrated. And but it's very rewarding and a great way to build unique value for startups to offer them something more than just the national original market access.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna. It's only 5 minutes left that we have, and I would like to take some questions from the audience that I can see here in the chat. There is one that you already talked a little bit, and in this incubators space, there are two trends that have been going more for a pan-European accelerators in a given niche or being more general. And one of the people in the audience is asking how to facilitate more cross-sectoral technology transfer in a world that increasingly becomes globally accessible. So how we combine these elements? Any of you wants to take it?
It's again a very difficult question. It's a very difficult question because it's a very difficult thing to do. We can foresee with some project really like very systemic project. Well, I mean, the best will be to involve very different actors from public sector, private sector, different fields of activities. But succeeding in doing that is always a big challenge. What we do in like a tripartite relationship between a startup, a corporate, and an accelerator, for instance, is already quite challenging. But we succeed in doing things, and we have some good results. But when you really involve more people and more cultural differences, you realize that well, it will take a lot of time. It will take a lot of administration, and then you're out of the startup world, because startups, they need quick results, because they don't have enough money to survive like 2, 3, 4 years doing just administration, preparing project, and so on. So it's why it's a very difficult question. We'd love to really co-innovate with startups sometimes, but co-innovation is really killing startups. Except if they are scale up and it's really in their project to do so, and they have the financial to really support that. But aside that, if you think this way with startup, you will more likely have dying startup all along the road, and it would be not good for anyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that we have kind of 20 seconds each to give a final statement. I'm going to pass you a question that maybe you can also try to cover. And we have a person in the audience asking what kind of books, reference, or practice he will need or she will need to become an incubator manager. So I leave that if you want to cover it. But please go ahead and give us just a very short statement as the final summary on the topic you present that we have discussed. Yes. Anna, maybe ladies first in this case.
Wow, it's a loaded question, because learn from those who are already in the industry. That would be my my suggestion. No books, no manuals for that, but many people with great experience and knowledge. And I think that what we can sum up this discussion with is that the future of incubation is in networking for sure. And if we want to deliver our services to startup in an efficient way, well, it's up to us of how we are going to develop our networks to give the access to our clients.
Thank you.
I fully share the statement. No books, be a pirate. Just do things. Which is important is to do, not to learn, and do with the right people, with the people who knows. Observe them. And do yourself, invent your own way. That's really the best, and it's really a position for people with experience. If you come out of school, you don't have experience, you don't have network, it's not a job for you. You will lose your time. So
thank you, Ludovic. So I'm getting many red lights that we need to Typical. So thank you very much. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Ludovic. Thank you, Milian. I hope that the audience had a very good time. Thank you, and I'm happy to moderate and to join you for this session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.